Communicate changes. Changes need to be communicated to all people that are involved in the project. This is our last step. That means that we have all the changes implementing all our plans, and now we have our new plans. So the old plans, we need to replace them with our new and improved plans and make sure that everybody has access and understands why we have those changes. So we need to inform, we communicate those changes. The first group that needs to have a lot of communication in terms of those changes is the project team. We also inform the steering committee, we inform the donor, and some internal stakeholders, especially those stakeholders that are providing support to the project, like finance, procurement, and human resources. They are contributing to the project, and they're going to be, they need to be aware of those changes so they can also coordinate their internal resources to provide us the type of support that is needed to the project. We can also inform some external stakeholders. We inform our partners, especially if we are coordinating certain activities with them. Suppliers, it's important. They need to know the changes, especially in the schedules, and beneficiaries, because we may be changing certain activities and we're changing the calendar. They also need to be aware of those changes. When we communicate those changes, we need to explain why there were changes. We also need to explain how those changes can affect them, and we need to distribute copies of those changes. When we explain why, it is important that we explain in detail so that people understand why there were changes. We usually tell them many of the reasons that include the changes reflect new conditions in the project environment. We also made changes because trying to avoid critical risks to the project. Also, another reason is changes in assumptions. And we also make changes to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the project. Also, the changes could have been because of an increase that is needed in project quality, or increase the values in either outputs and outcomes or impact to the project. We also need to explain how those changes can affect them, especially the project team, because there could have been some changes in the roles and responsibilities, some timing and in the sequence of the activities, access to project resources, and also changes and how those changes are going to be affecting them in terms of coordinated tasks. And usually the team requires more time to understand those changes because coordination of the tasks that are very important for them, so that they have enough time to think about those changes, reorganize themselves, and so they don't waste a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to be happening after those changes. We also need to distribute copies of the changes. All those plans that now have been updated, we need to send them either as a soft or a hard copy. We also need to update our project files. We may have electronic or physical files. They need to update it with the new plans. This is important. We also need to ask people to replace the old plans. Why? Because if they don't do that, they might get sometimes confused. They pick up the old plan and they start working on those instructions. And that could be another serious problem. So it's important that we do a follow-up, especially with the team and the people who receive, and they're going to be using the plans as instructions to do their work, that they are using the latest version of those plans because they reflect the latest approved changes.